Let's talk about Beijing's Summer Palace. Now, this isn't just a story about some beautiful old park. No, this is a centuries-long epic. We're talking about massive imperial ambition, the devastation of war, and one incredibly powerful empress's controversial vision, all of it packed into a single legendary garden. I mean, just look at this place. The Summer Palace is an absolute masterpiece of landscape design. But all that serene beauty, it's hiding a seriously dramatic past. Its story is one of breathtaking creation, followed by near-total destruction, and then a really remarkable rebirth.
So, the palace's name today is Yihei Yuan, and that translates to the Garden of Preserving Harmony. Honestly, that one word, harmony, is the key to the whole thing. It's all about creating this perfect, deliberate balance between the natural world and incredible man-made artistry. Okay, so let's rewind the clock. Our story kicks off back in the 18th century with the Qianlong Emperor. This was a ruler with a vision, an incredibly ambitious plan to build the ultimate imperial garden.
And when I say ambitious, I mean huge. To give you an idea of the scale, the grounds cover a massive 2.9 square kilometers. This was never just a garden. It was a sprawling imperial retreat, pretty much an entire world built for just one man.
And a design is absolutely dominated by one single element, water. It's staggering, really. A full 3/4 of the entire area is water, all centered around the magnificent and totally man-made Kunming Lake.
And here's where you see that principle of harmony in action. It's just brilliant. Nothing was wasted. See, to create this enormous lake, they had to dig out a mountain's worth of dirt. So what do you do with all that soil? Well, you use it to build your own mountain, the 60-meter-high Longevity Hill, which just so happens to be the perfect backdrop for all your palaces and pavilions.
The emperor's goal was basically to create a miniature version of his entire empire. It's kind of wild. The islands in the lake, they were designed to represent mythical, divine mountains. The lake itself was modeled on the famous West Lake, and he even built replica shopping streets from southern cities so the imperial court could pretend to be commoners for a day. It was literally China in microcosm.
He gave it this beautifully poetic name, Qing Yuan, which means the gardens of clear ripples. But that tranquility, well, it was not destined to last. Those clear ripples were about to be violently disturbed by the storms of war.
Yeah, the golden age of this garden was completely shattered. This next chapter in its history is one of destruction and loss, a true trial by fire.
After almost a century of just, being this incredible place, the palace faced its first catastrophe. In 1860, during the Second Opium War, Anglo-French forces sacked it. Then, just 40 years later, it got hammered again, this time by the Eight-Nation Alliance during the Boxer Rebellion. And the devastation was almost total. I mean, we're talking about occupying forces looting tens of thousands of priceless artifacts, and then systematically burning more than 3,000 wooden halls, pavilions, and temples. The beautiful gardens of clear ripples were reduced to nothing but smoldering ruins. But from those ashes came an opportunity, a chance for rebirth, and it was driven by one of the most powerful and controversial figures in all of Chinese history, the Empress Dowager Cixi.
Rebuilding something on this scale was going to cost an astronomical amount of money. We're talking up to 22 million silver taels. So the natural question is, right, where on earth did all that money come from?
And that funding is exactly where the big controversy comes in. The most famous claim is that Cixi straight up embezzled funds that were meant for modernizing China's navy, all to build her lavish retreat. Now, other sources argue it wasn't that simple, that she only used the bank interest that had built up, leaving the Navy's main budget untouched. But you can see why this is such a huge deal. For a lot of people, it symbolizes a dynasty that cared more about imperial luxury than national defense at a time of crisis. So, regardless of where the money came from, the project got done. In 1888, the palace was officially reborn and given the name we know today, Yihei Yuan, the Garden of Preserving Harmony. Now for its final chapter, at least so far, the Summer Palace transformed once more from this super exclusive playground for emperors into a public treasure for the entire world.
So after the last dynasty fell, the palace's future was a little uncertain. But by 1924, it was officially opened up for everyone as a public park. And that whole journey from private to public really culminated in 1998 when it got its official designation as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So when you visit today, you can see all these amazing structures that were rebuilt under Cixi.
On the left, you've got the Tower of Buddhist Incense. It's this commanding spiritual center of the whole palace. And on the right, that's the famous marble boat, a stone structure that was, kind of ironically, rebuilt with a very Western-style design.
Seriously, everywhere you look, the view is just breathtaking. From the superimposing Eastern Palace Gate, which is the main entrance, all the way to these delicate little pavilions that are dotted along the shore of the lake, every single view feels like a perfectly framed work of art.
So, why does all this matter today? Well, for one, it's a top tourist site, attracting about 10 million people a year, and it houses 40,000 historical relics. But here's the kicker, the part you probably didn't see coming. Kunming Lake is now the endpoint for a massive water transfer project, making the Summer Palace a critical part of Beijing's main water supply. How crazy is that?
In the end, you don't have to take my word for it. I think UNESCO's declaration really says it all. It calls the Summer Palace a masterpiece, where nature and human creation come together to create something that is just truly harmonious and incredibly beautiful.
When you think about it, it's been an imperial garden, a pile of ruins, a controversial statement of power. And now, it's a public park and a vital city reservoir. It has survived so much change, it really makes you wonder, what could possibly be next for this legendary place?